Hello, 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 and welcome to the Steam Cafe. I am your host, Gillian Rhodes, and the Steam Cafe is your center for art-infused science, no, science-infused art. I always get the two of them mixed up. I'm here every Monday, most Mondays at least, bringing you new and interesting fusions of art and astronomy, um, and taking a look at how they influence each other in the interesting and beautiful ways. First things first, a big happy dance. Thank you so much, the Keeper of Mabs, for subscribing at Tier 1 for 39 months. That is a long time. That is a long time. It is over 3 years, which is a long time in anybody's conception of time. The second thing that I would like to start with before we get into today's show is that I just got a bus, a 4.5 hour bus ride, and did not sleep properly this weekend. So your slightly distracted host is due to that, but I will do my best nonetheless to press forward and steam ahead nonetheless into the show and bring you some interesting things. So today I do not have a guest. Instead, about I guess a month or two ago, our own planetary Pam, Pat Johnson, sent me the link to a showcase, an online showcase, which is for the Psyche mission, actually, which is sending the probe to the asteroid Psyche. And as part of I think as part of the grant that they got, they were asked to involve art or involve students or something of the sort. And what they decided to do was bring in kind of these yearly batches of students, undergraduate students, who would create art based on the mission to the asteroid, based on the whole sort of idea of the mission, the whole science experiments that the mission is planning to do, and all this stuff. And so it's basically 15 different undergraduate students who showcased who were basically part of this program. And as part of the program, I think each of them was required to make 4 different artworks. And according to their, completely up to them and their creativity, what they wanted to do, their medium of choice. And as part of it, of course, they learned about the mission. They learned about, the asteroid in question, and they came up with these 4 different artworks, and they created, their reflections and their thoughts on each one of them. So it's a quite comprehensive program, and it is now online. And so I went a couple weeks ago and went looking at these artworks so I could pick out what I think are the most interesting of the total 15 times 4, which is 60. I think I can do math. 60 different artworks, and to just pick out some of the most interesting ones to show you. So let me get started here. I think what I thought, overall it was interesting because, obviously the mission is very well marketed, I guess. It has its own colors, its own brand colors, and it has this kind of set sort of mission statement, and so it works well for artists in that sense, because you'll notice a lot of these artworks are using the kind of color palette of the mission. So it's a little interesting. Before I can share my screen though, Pamela, you have to let me. Okay, to, I think maybe I have to share my sound as well. Okay, so here we are. This is the Psyche inspired showcase, basically, and it was during the previous academic year, and these undergraduate artists basically came together to create a series of works. And this, as far as I know, this website is still live. I mean, I found it, so I think you can go and take a look at it. It is full of a lot more information than we are going to be looking at on this show. It's got basically it has the 3D inspired, the 3D virtual gallery. You can, if you're interested and you're an undergraduate, you can apply to be an intern for next year. There's a virtual goodie bag with all kinds of downloads. Some of the artworks, like for example, there's one of those rugs that you kind of can create, which is like based on Psyche, and so the pattern for that is in the virtual goodie bag. And I think there's a recipe for like Psyche inspired cookies or something. There's all kinds of stuff in there, so that's quite interesting. I don't know if you can. Basically, I registered for this showcase and went to look at it. So I think it's available for everyone, but if it's not, I'm sorry. But basically, I think it's interesting because a lot of these students, you can see the list of them here, a lot of them are not actually arts majors. You have computer science majors, astrobiology majors, physics majors, graphic design, new media design. You have really a really wide range of majors that came together in order for this project. So I thought I wasn't sure kind of what to expect when I came into it, but I thought that, I basically picked out 6 of the 15 interns that I thought that I just wanted to highlight, because I thought their work was unusual or different, or use mediums in a kind of interesting way, more than something basically more than the standard. So I'm just looking at the chat, and yes, I think the AstroWise, the link is there. I hope that it works. In the meantime, I'm just gonna pop ahead into the first. So I would just like to say that I haven't seen this website in a couple of weeks, so I'm rediscovering it with you. I will remember, no doubt, when I see it, why I picked this. So this intern, she is art history major from the Arizona State University, and she has created these highly textured, let's see if I can open in a new tab, these highly textured sort of landscapes, basically. And I think I chose it because I just thought it was such an interesting way of using different textures and mediums. So this particular piece that you're looking at right now over here is basically a multimedia piece, which is inspired by the rugged landscape of what the Psyche asteroid might look like. But she also, I think this one, she's really done these different, she's done all these different, basically, these kind of landscapes. And I just thought that the materials that she was using were really interesting. Like this is metal texture paste and acrylic. And here I'll give you a more detailed look at it. And I just thought that the interaction of the different elements and textures was just really interesting. So this particular one is more about the contrasting elements and textures to represent Psyche. And I think if you saw it close up, you would be able to see all these different things. This one is, again, texture, sand, and metals, and this is more about the Psyche mission itself and like how it's going to approach the asteroid from the Earth orbit. So it's just a kind of, but as even without knowing that, I just think it's a really interesting piece of work. It also has this key to show you kind of like what the symbols mean and what the launch map is all about. And then her fourth product is a little more symbolic. It has to do with the Greek word Psyche, which means soul, and it has it's called the butterfly and the star. It depicts the symbol of the Psyche asteroid, and the semicircle is a representation of a butterfly's wing, a reference to the Greek word Psyche, which means soul. So what's interesting about this is that she is using the mission colors. So these colors that you see kind of hovering around the outside of these symbols, those are very much, you'll be seeing these colors again and again. Obviously, there's a ton of detail in this that I'm sure she talks about in her reflections on Project 4. We're not going to look at that now, but if you have the time, you can go and look. And basically, when you go into the, you click on this view full project, it has all the details of, how she made it and all this kind of stuff. So I just thought that it was very unique perspective on the different, using the different materials. Moving on, Cameron is a mechanical engineering major at Seattle University. And yes, she's the food one. So basically, she all of her projects have to do with food, which is why I picked it, because I just thought it was so creative. So basically, she this one is about cookies for the Psyche mission and the asteroid, and so they're shaped like the asteroid. They have the mission colors, as you can see, and she discusses here kind of like how she went about making these. I don't know how good they would be to eat, but they look pretty yummy to me. These are this is the Psyche dozen. Basically, she says she designed and printed custom cookie cutters. It looks like maybe they're about the it's the mission, basically the mission team and their symbols. So she's made little gingerbread cookies, basically. Well, not gingerbread, butter cookies based on the team of the mission, which is very cute. And this interesting creation is basically more about the hypothesis that Psyche might be the product of powerful collisions. So she's created an edible picture of this impact, with the magma and with the impact crater. And she's even, let me see if I can find out. She says, for example, I textured white chocolate, broke it into shards, and colored it with different shades of gray metallic powder to represent the hypothesized iron core. I just thought, what an interesting, way of picturing what happened. As far as I know, it's all edible. For example, she says the isomalt to create a red sugar sail that surrounds the chocolate hemisphere. I don't bake, so I have no idea what that means, but it seems technical and it looks kind of interesting. And her last project actually doesn't have to do with food, but it's in embroidery hoops, where she's basically embroidered the asteroid itself in the mission colors and the launch map. And I think this last one is the electromagnetic field. Yeah, I figured it was magnetic. And she did make one final bonus project, which was basically meringues that you can put into your coffee. So I just thought that it was just so creative that I just had to include. Coming up next, this fellow, Mitchell, is an astrophysics and mechanical engineering major. And his Oh yes. So he had a few different products. Let me just scroll through this and see what he's made. Oh yeah, no, he had such an interesting. He actually had just a really interesting mix of products. Like this is actually a piece of music, which is supposed to capture kind of the intricacies of the Psyche mission, and the mysterious of space and all this. So he's kind of taken it from the launch up until when the spacecraft arrives, and he says it kind of comes to an end with a call and response between an electric guitar representing the sharpness of the Psyche spacecraft and the trumpet's violins representing the incredible vastness of the Psyche asteroid. So I don't know if I play this, you can hear it. It starts actually somewhere in the middle. But I can try. And if it doesn't work, certainly you'll tell me. Okay, I'm just gonna try and find the beginning of it. I hope.
Oh, it got big.
Yeah, can you?
Yes. So he was included because it's an awesome piece of music. And it's very interesting the way he's put it together, and the whole video actually shows the process of him putting it together, but of course the result is just really awesome. I think he's done a few mosaics actually. He did a mosaic of the logo, and then he also oh yes, he did this too. It was let me get it in another tab. It's a multimedia painting of the Psyche spacecraft as it approaches the asteroid. But it's basically, he's just made a ton of different media. There's styrofoam, there's metal wire, there's metallic paints, there's acrylic paint, there's all this kind of stuff. And it has all these different meanings involved in it, which is really interesting. But this is the whole painting. I just think it was very beautiful, very creative. Again, you can tell that I really like, the work that has lots of different textures and and colors, and kind of sees things from different perspectives, and kind of has a new take. I assume that's why these people were actually chosen for the project, but there you go. And this is a whole mosaic, which is fascinating. But basically, it's it's a pretty large scale. It's a 6x6 wooden board that uses the canvas, and so these are apparently it's all mosaics, I guess. But you can see in the background basically the little tiles that he's used. And then the spacecraft. So it's quite a detailed piece, which is quite interesting. So that's, oh, I didn't even see this in the event. This is okay. All right. How long is this? I didn't see this when I was looking through it first, but he's made 3 pounds of rice vinegar, food coloring, and a lot of patience. Basically, it's an idea that he throws it in the air and it looks like the Psyche asteroid. That's ridiculous. Whoa. That's insane. Okay, all I have to say about that, we're gonna watch it again. But like, how does somebody come up with something like that? Where they're just like, listen, I'm gonna dye a bunch of rice and throw it in the air and make it look like an asteroid. What an interesting mind comes up with that. Anyway, moving on, onwards and upwards. Broken Symmetry was saying, I hope that music gets used in conjunction with mission footage. Yes, it should. It absolutely should. Yeah, so the mission hasn't actually launched yet, but I'm sure they have a few more years. It's going to take a long time for this little spacecraft to get there. So I think they have some time to have other classes of interns making interesting work. All right, the Arti Patel is a mechanical engineer. There's a lot of mechanical engineers now that I think about it. Either that or I've just chosen all of them unintentionally. So again, I think that I chose it because it's just very different. It's a very different medium. It's a scratch board with carvings done by scratch knives and I don't know how you say this, gouache paint added for color. So basically she's focused on the contours and topography of the Psyche asteroid. Again, you can see in the clouds here, the mission colors, of course, as we keep saying, but just the details on the asteroid are just really fascinating. And you can see with like the impact craters and the different, geological features. So it's quite interesting. Yes, I need to open this in a new tab. So this one is epoxy resin pour of acrylic paint textured with black crystals and glitter on a wooden panel. So basically, it's how she envisions the surface of Psyche to look like. Obviously, she's looked at the different composition of what they think Psyche is going to be and have. And so use that to kind of inspire the colors that she's using. And it's so detailed, it's so interesting, and it uses all these different compositions. And so I just thought it was really, really fascinating how she put this together. Again, as a piece of art, it's without even knowing what it is, it's really interesting. This is basically, it's a digital illustration, but it's, she's put these mandala patterns basically inside the craters. And I don't know, like, I think, she's described why she's done it, but there's just something that it's just lovely. And obviously she's colored it with the mission colors, so it's bright and interesting and very, very beautiful. I do think that whoever decided on the colors for this mission was a creative genius, because it gives the, you know, especially for this program, it gives the interns so much to work with, and it just creates such an interesting and exciting color palette. Psyche in the Night Sky is her last project, and it's an acrylic painting done on one panel, and it's basically shows Psyche kind of in relation to the stars and the placement of objects in the sky. So I think, you know, I'm not entirely sure if it's like an accurate picture of where Psyche is, or she's just kind of cut it out or something that, but I just think it's, again, it's very pretty. It's an interesting composition. And I'm sure that the cutout is in the shape of the asteroid as well. And she's done a fifth project as well. This is also basically scratch boards, but it's about the magnetic field. I didn't see this one either, but I think her other work is more interesting. Moving on, onwards and upwards. Alyssa is a graphic information technology major. And, oh yes, I thought her, I think she was one of the first ones I saw. Basically, it's Adobe Illustrator, and she's kind of, this particular one is looking more about using, kind of playing on the name Psyche as the goddess of soul in Greek mythology, as well as the asteroid, and so it's kind of envisioning those two together. Oh yes, okay, I know why I picked it. I picked it because of this project, because she's basically designed makeup looks based on the mission and the colors and stuff. So she has one which is kind of based on the mission colors, and it's meant to, one is using the Psyche mission's color palette. The other look is meant to represent the Greek goddess the asteroid was named after. So I just, thought, what a fascinating way of describing or expressing something about this. So I just thought it was really, really fascinating. Just catching up on the chat to see if I've missed anything. Okay, no, I don't look like it. After I said the magnetic field looked like an amoeba. Yes. And asteroids, yes, not every single project was as out of the box as these are. I've chosen them because they're the most out of the box, but overall, I just found that the projects were very, very creative and really looked at things in very, very different ways. So this one, for example, is, honestly, I don't know exactly what it is about, and I could read the thing, but it would take me too long. But it's a comic strip basically describing how Psyche came into be and in kind of the future for it. And it's, these two sisters. And I just thought it was cute, how interesting putting it together. And then what else? She has a embroidery ring, this kind of trail of Psyche. It's again about the magnetic field. So obviously the magnetic field is an important part of this mission and the asteroid, because that's what everybody is talking about. I'm sure that I read about it when I was investigating this, but at the risk of saying something wrong and embarrassing myself, I'm just not going to go into specifics. But I think that's also the point of these works, is to kind of help somebody who doesn't know about the mission to learn about it and learn about what makes the mission special and what makes the asteroid special. So in that case, even if I did read about it at some point and forget, these projects are doing what they're supposed to. Last but not least, Brianna is a graphic design major. Again, these are just six of the total 15 students. So there's many more that you can investigate on this site. So I think I chose these projects because they just showed such a wide range of ideas. So basically these are postage stamps, which are meant to illustrate how Psyche might have come to be. Again, using illustrations on postal stamps, which is such a fascinating idea. And of course, again, it says, because Psyche was the sixth asteroid discovered, the stamps are worth 16 cents. And the numbers on the barcode illustrate start and end dates of this flight mission by month and year. So just the level of detail is just really fascinating. This one is like a very in-depth and detailed portrait of Psyche, which I thought had so much detail that it got lost in the composition. That's just a personal opinion. But I did think it was really funny. It's a latch hook rug canvas that she's created, where you can make a latch hook rug in the shape and color of Psyche. So she's chosen very, very carefully the different colors of yarn, and it's not a single color. Like, there's a lot of variations in the different color. And it's basically a replica of the rendered photos of the Psyche asteroid. So she's worked really hard on those different. I know there are a lot of CosmoQuesters who enjoy things involving yarn. So this might be a future project for you guys. And then the fourth project was a deck of playing cards, basically. And it was so she decided to design a deck of cards that summarized everything I've learned about the mission. So again, this particular student really likes to write, so she has all this extra detail on how she wanted to, how she's chosen it, what's all the things that are represented in it, all of the different, I'm sure, tons of different, here, for example, is the spacecraft. I'm sure you could just go through it and just find all of the significant, and you can see there's, that you can see the different, like, this is the asteroid, like, for example, this is saying phase D, mission launch, and so probably that one has all the different, details of the schedule and stuff. So you could basically, if you spend some time with this deck of cards, you probably know everything there ever is to know about the mission and what it's doing and where it's going, which is super awesome. And it's a deck of playing cards, so that's just super cool. So yeah, like I said, there were lots of other artworks. I just thought that these were kind of the ones that really stood out to me for their diversity, for their creativity, because they were just, again, as Asteroid said, they were so out of the box. So it's I thought it was just really fascinating. So if you do enjoy, if you would like to see more, I invite you to check out the whole website. I'm just looking through the chat again, see if I have missed anything. So it's just to note that there will be an AAS press conference watch parties at noon Eastern and 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Certainly, I will definitely not be around for that because I'm going to be in bed as soon as I potentially can. But otherwise, this week, streaming schedules resume as normal. So be sure to be around for Daily Space and, of course, with the American Astronomical Society. I think that's what it stands for, press conference. You can catch up on all of the great news that's happening and coming. And I will be here next Monday at the Steam Cafe. I think I will be interviewing Surly Amy of Ceramics. Of course, I'll confirm that in the meantime. But AstroWise is saying come back in under an hour. So do that. And I will be with you next week. Thank you and have a nice Monday. Bye-bye.